Let me see. Do I have any ammo for that gun? Sergeant Ash. No, I got no fuel. I thought maybe they would give me some. Sometimes they do. And I'm packing a lot of frag grenades. Now, I've been watching the reviews. I've been watching some of the gameplay. I pretty much watched the entire story, and I gotta say, reviews be damned. They did it again. I played Mafia 2, and I saw Mafia 1. I didn't have a PC at the time that could play it. I probably could play it now. But Mafia 3, don't let the reviews bug you about it. I think the story is solid. I watched the whole story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've seen the gameplay. If it's on par or even better than Mafia 2, you got nothing to worry about. A lot of people will put it down because it's not GTA, which I keep telling people, stop comparing these sandbox games to Grand Theft Auto. I don't. I see no reason why everybody should. If the story's good, if I enjoy the gameplay, then who cares? I mean, but the biggest complaints I keep hearing about this game, which tick me the hell off. Oh, the frame rate. It's locked at 30 frame rates per second. First off, unless you're really looking for it, you're not gonna notice it too much. Of course. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Peace. In the throes of a brilliant vision, he spoke, and now I obey. Atom demands peace. With Farhad, with Acadia, within our family. And any found disobeying Atom's word will answer for their crimes. Let none stand in the way of his radiant will. Glory to Atom!
Well, that settles that.
High Confessor.
You. I knew it. I knew it was you. In my vision. There, beside our brilliant master. Here, you must have this. It only seems right it's worn by his favored child.
Atom Bulwark. Damage resistance and energy resistance increase with rads. Okay, not sure I can use it, but okay. So I've talked to the High Confessor. Now we can go on to the side quest. I might just take the long road just to get there, but anyways, going back. I find frame rates and picture quality. Picture quality is important, and frame rates is important per se. But people these days, they'll base their entire review on frame rate dips, drops, in general, what the frame rate is, and quality, and picture quality. Never mind how the graphics look. Never mind how it plays, how it sounds. If it's graphically, if it doesn't meet someone's graphical standard, it's a bad game. I don't follow this logic or this rule, really. I will be doing reviews soon, hopefully. I really haven't decided on how I will be basing my reviews completely, but I will say this much about my reviews. When I review a game, when I determine if it's good or bad, how I determine it is not going to be based on how it looks. Well, it will be to a point, but I will not be basing it on frame rates or any of that bullshit, you know. Graphical dips, definitely, I will probably talk about it, but it's not going to be the main factor as to whether or not I'm going to give the game a good review or a bad review. Take Fallout 4, for instance. Since I'm playing it, you can see it. It's a good representation of how I feel about certain games. Fallout 4 got mixed reviews by most people because they thought graphically it doesn't look good. That it looks like a last gen game. And I think they're full of crap. I mean, it's not a perfect game. It really isn't. Graphically, I think it's interesting. I like it because it is not photorealistic. And this is very important when it comes to games. Take your Grand Theft Autos, your, okay. Take your Grand Theft Autos, your Saints Rows, though, you know, putting Grand Theft Auto side by side with Saints Row. Saints Row doesn't have it doesn't try and go for photorealistic, which means it's going to age a lot better than Grand Theft Auto. While Grand Theft Auto did try and go for photorealism at a time, they eventually just gave up on it and went for their own style. And it's going to age a little better because of it. Great games that stay away from the photorealism, your Borderlands, Killer 6, Killer 7, I mean, if you can find it. So, I don't base my games on how they look, on the visual perspective too much, because all games are going to look terrible eventually. The ones that stand out are the ones that chose to go for something different in their designs. Those who went for cell shading, like Borderlands, they went for a more saturated cell shade kind of look, and it's aged beautifully. It looks like a comic book. And other games have gone to more pixelated. It looks like Minecraft. Minecraft, to me, it's not entirely a visually appealing game, but because they chose a distinct style, it won't age bad and it won't age good. It's its own thing. If they ever change it up a bit, you know, it could be better, but I enjoy it for what it is. So really, I don't review games on that basis. So looking at Mafia, those people that are saying, "Oh, it's locked at 30 frames." I don't give a shit. You know, it's like, okay, because it's locked at 30 frames, it sucks? No. If I'm gonna say why it probably will suck, game crashes. I've been hearing about that. The game has been crashing for some. On consoles, on PCs, these have been frequent, which game crashes are a staple. They happen all the time. Bethesda games are notorious for game crashes. Now, depending on how often the game crashes, well, that could you know, change my favor towards these games. I mean, this game was crashing like crazy when it first came out, but they patched it, they fixed it. It's more playable. I've just been recently playing the BioShock collection, which I might dip into a little bit, and I found BioShock 2 to be badly glitchy around its last levels. Like, when you get to Persephone, when I got to Inner Persephone, the game crashed on me 3 times. And unfortunately, it doesn't have a frequent autosave system, so I was screwed on that completely. But as far as it goes, you know, I go for story. I go for gameplay. Is the game fun? Is the story good? You know, I don't go for high-end graphics, photorealistic looks, because those things are going to be outdone by something else that comes along down the road in the future. You know, going back to play Fallout 3, for instance, it looks ugly in comparison. I mean, it's downright atrocious. 4 is pretty good. I mean, I'll still go back and play 3, believe me. I enjoy 3. 4 is an upgrade in comparison. But I don't base my my reviews on how the game looks. I base it on how it plays, how it feels. And since I got to see a bit of Mafia 3, I think these reviewers are out of their minds. I mean, story-wise, if anyone attacks the story, they're idiots. The sounds are pretty good. The gameplay, from what I hear, is repetitive, which that won't surprise me because it looked repetitive. The driving mechanics look solid from the looks of it. If I remember the fastest way to get there, I have to take this elevator. Okay, why can't I access the elevator? Oh, don't tell me I gotta run this whole thing. I gotta run this whole thing. Alright. But I like games that are fun. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs 1, Watch Dogs 2. These are great examples of fun games. Well, Watch Dogs 1. 2, I don't know yet. But Watch Dogs 1, thoroughly enjoyed it. It got a shit review, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found the mechanics fun. I found the story was lacking in my opinion. I was very disappointed by the story because I expected it to be smarter than it was. I really kind of, because it was Ubisoft, I really was thinking, oh, they're going to give me a really interesting story, but they ended up delivering something that was subpar. All it really accounts to is, spoiler alert, it's basically just about someone who saw something they weren't supposed to. It's more conspiracy than it's more like a tech thriller, really, which isn't bad. It's rare to see something like that in gaming, but it could have been more than what it is. And with Watch Dogs 2, I expect to see a little more of that. I'm not going into Watch Dogs 2 with high expectations. If anything, I'm going into Watch Dogs 2 with low expectations. I mean, the gameplay looks fun, the mechanics looks good, but I don't expect much in the way of change. Alright. Mysterious Stranger, rank 4. Re-kills an opponent, high chance critical hit meter refills. Okay, he better appear more often now. I mean, a lot more often. Well, let's see, I want to know the exact statistics on how often he appears. I don't use VATS, but I'll use VATS if I get more out of it. Shit, you burned through 1,000 rounds pretty quick. Loaded glowing one, ugly pimple of a monster. And now I'm suffering from insomnia. Yay! What a bunch of jerks, man. I don't like this hotel because you gotta wade through the bullshit to get to where you're trying to go. This is why I wear power armor though, because if I wasn't wearing it, I'd have to use so many health up items and all that other bull. I mean, Nerd Rage helps. Nerd Rage really, for survival difficulty, I recommend just maxing out your intelligence and letting Nerd Rage do most of the heavy lifting for you, because you'll take way less damage maxed out and you'll regenerate health from it. So Nerd Rage, top-notch perk. Especially if you get bombed. Like if somebody hits you with a mini nuke launcher or something, you're going to be glad it's there. Ooh, finally. This should lead straight down. Yeah, this is it, because this is a load screen. No vent. Well, there's a vent, but no hatch.